Did I just find a way to make a brisket taste 1,000 times better by sous vide brining it? In this experiment, I brined a brisket at a higher temperature of 131 degrees Fahrenheit for 24 hours to see if it would brine faster and create a juicier end product. Will it work out, or will it be a complete disaster that doesn't do anything? We're gonna find out in this video. Let's get smoking. Ever since I ate the brisket at Franklin Barbecue, I've been trying to replicate a very specific flavor profile that it had. Specifically, the brisket was very well salted all the way throughout the slice, all the way to the interior of the meat. And the only way that I've been able to get close to that flavor profile is by equilibrium wet brining a brisket for 2 whole weeks. But I don't have 2 weeks to brine a brisket, and I'm sure you guys don't either, so I wanted to develop a faster way to get the same results. So how do we get a brisket to brine faster? Well, one way to do it is to increase the temperature at which we're brining the brisket. Higher temperatures mean the salt molecules have more kinetic energy, they're moving around faster, and they diffuse into the brisket at a higher rate. In fact, Professor Blonder, the scientific contributor to AmazingRibs.com, states that diffusion rates generally increase at higher temperatures, and he did an experiment where he found that most of the brining action actually happens when you cook the meat and not during the time when it's brining in the fridge beforehand. So theoretically, we could equilibrium brine a whole brisket in 2 weeks to a 1% salinity level, or we could do it in just 24 hours at a higher temperature of, let's say, 131 degrees. So to test my theory out, I started by weighing the first brisket and the water and adding 1% salt by weight to 2,000 milliliters of water. That translates to 3.2% salinity in the water, which will diffuse into the meat, and when the water reaches 1% salinity, according to my salinity meter, I'll know that the meat is also at an equilibrium of a perfect 100% salinity all the way throughout the meat. Now, with this first brisket, I decided to brine it for 24 hours at just 100 degrees. I did this because meat starts to denature or cook at 105 degrees Fahrenheit, so I wanted to brine it at this maximum possible temperature before it starts cooking. The problem is 100 degrees is also the perfect temperature for unmitigated bacterial growth, so I had some pretty predictable results. Yeah, there's a slimy surface on top of the brisket. It's kind of greenish, it's bubbling, it smells like actual death. I can't even breathe out of my nose because I did and I almost puked. It is really disgusting. So I'm gonna chuck this brisket in the frickin' garbage because there's no way in a million years I'm gonna eat this thing, and I'll have to go back to the drawing board and think about how I can do something else. Maybe I'll sous vide it at 131 degrees, which is a pasteurization temperature, and I'll do that for longer, but we only got to 2.6% salinity, so not even close to the 1% equilibrium that I was expecting. So now that I knew the way that I shouldn't do it, I actually followed food safety guidelines and I wet brined the brisket for 24 hours at 131 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the minimum temperature you can pasteurize food given enough time. So that's why you'll see it cited in many sous vide recipes as the absolute minimum temperature to cook at. When I opened the sous vide bag, the brisket smelled a little bit stinky, but definitely not as bad as the first one. I used my Typher Instaprobe to check the temperatures of the brisket, and it was sitting at around 128 or 129 on average, not the 131 I was shooting for, so that's kind of my bad. I should have set my holding chest a few degrees higher at 131, but 128, 129, a lot of bacteria can still be killed at that temperature, and anything remaining will be killed by the extremely high temperature I'm going to take my brisket to cook it, which is all the way up to 190. Now, the 131 degree brisket started at 4.2% salinity in the water and hit 2.4% salinity after 24 hours, which is short of the 1% equilibrium I was aiming for, but still better than the 2.6% salinity of the 100 degree brisket, which confirmed that diffusion will in fact continue to happen at 131 degrees, and it will happen faster than brining at a lower temperature. But alas, we still did not achieve the equilibrium after 24 hours, which was kind of the aim of this video. Nonetheless, I rubbed the brisket with the brisket rub I'm developing for commercial release later this year. If you guys want to get notified when that comes out, there is a sign-up form in the description section below. I then placed the brisket on my Oklahoma Joe's Longhorn at 250 degrees, and I ramped up temperatures after 5 hours to 275 to 300, and then I took a look at it when it hit 190 internal. All right, let's check on this thing. Looking pretty good. It's got some sort of weird bubble thing there. What is that? That is weird. Whew. It's like a swimming pool in there. You could go for a little dip. I'll just dump that off. And I'm gonna give it a temp with my Typher. This is an instant read thermometer that I've actually been using a lot recently. Really nice backlit display, so it's really easy to use in the dark, which it usually is dark by the time I'm done my briskets. Really fast, instant read, really nice ergonomic design. If you guys want to check this out, I'll link it in the description section below. But you can see that I'm probing it around 194, 192, 193. So I usually stop at 190, but I'm going a little bit over this time because I went up to 131 obviously before the brisket even went on the smoker. So we're only 7 or 8 hours in, where normally I don't get till 190 until the 12-hour mark. So the brisket hasn't had as much time cooking as normal, so I'm going to take it to a little bit of a higher temperature, probably 195, and then I'll put it in the sous vide holding chest. Again, guys, Typher, check it out in the description section. Awesome thermometer. After I hit 190 degrees internal, I wrapped the brisket with clarified butter and some beef tallow, and then I further wrapped it in some more aluminum foil to hold in the moisture, and then I popped it in my holding chest, and I waited 18 hours at 150 degrees for my brisket to finish. Let's open this guy up. Probably overfoiled this a little bit. Foiled again! Get my pitmaster gloves on here. You can't be a pitmaster without pitmaster gloves. Gotta get those black nitrile gloves. I used to do full-blown songs in my videos if you guys are new to the channel, so you're lucky you're getting away with those cringy little segments there. Okay, let's open this up. Ooh. Eee! Ah! Oh! Okay, now I'm going to use my Typher Instaprobe to probe into this thing, check what temperature it's at. It's 149.5, 150, so perfect, 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 great, love it. It's been holding a perfect 150. So I think setting my sous vide chest to about 5 degrees higher than the temperature that I want to get actually gets me to that temperature, so that's a good thing. Whoa, okay, get out of my way. Boom mic. One day I'm going to get a better microphone that like clips onto my vest. Okay, let's feel this guy up a little bit. The flat is feeling a little bit tough. The point is feeling pretty decent. A little bit dry, though. So I don't know about this, guys. It's possible that the brining has dried it out. It's happened to me in the past. Or maybe you just overcooked it. Maybe I'm just a crappy pitmaster. Ooh. It is tender in some areas. When you touch me like this... oh, when you push me like that. Let's give this guy a slice. It's nice. Feels a little bit tough though. I don't know, guys. I don't know about this one. Let's give her the double-decker shot here. Looks juicy. Looks real juicy. Let's get a slice of the burnt ends here. So we got some like oxidization here already, which is weird, like a little bit of discoloration. Not quite sure what to make of that. But anyway, put that to the side and we'll continue. Whoa. Calm down. Okay. Slice a piece of the slice a slice of the point. Marble mouth Steve today. Jeez. Okay. I'll give you guys a look. It looks quite nice. Let's see how it pulls apart. Pulls apart quite nicely, actually. Smells kind of stinky, I'm not going to lie. I hope this doesn't food poison me. It's definitely salty, and it is salty all the way through to the interior of the meat, which is absolutely crazy. So we've definitely got the salt levels down pat. Nothing wrong with that. Let's go one more slice into the point here. Give you guys another look. Pull it apart. And I'll give it one more slice into the point here. This is probably what should be the most tender and juicy slice. But as you guys can see, even with the point muscle here, I mean, it looks juicy from all of the intramuscular fat, but it's just a little bit dry. The muscle fibers are dried out. That's what it is. The muscle fibers are dried out. It does taste really good, though. The salt has penetrated all the way into the meat, which is exactly what I wanted to do. And if we held that constant, if I could somehow get that to the same saltiness level as this brisket, but be as juicy as my other briskets, I think we'd have something really revolutionary. But this brisket is just it's too dry. The muscle fibers have been probably denatured, or something happened with the brine that dried them out, either during the 131 degree hold or during the 150 degree hold at the very end. I think it just spent too much time in contact with that salt. Even though it was a low salinity level, it was just too much time. So let's pull this apart. I mean, the brisket is perfectly cooked. It's just the muscle fibers are just a little bit too dry. Now, the other thing I noticed when I was trimming this brisket is it's a choice brisket, but it was pretty lean. So it was probably lower grade choice. That could have contributed to these results a little bit, but so far, what I'm getting right now is that the taste of the brisket is amazing. The salinity level is perfect. I wish all of my briskets could taste that salty all the way throughout the meat. Really, really awesome, but it's just a little bit too dry. I think it just spent too much time in contact with that salt. So I'll have to think of a different method where, you know, maybe I inject with salt. I didn't want to do that first because I wanted to do the wet brining method first and then start to get into injections. I do injections all the time with my competition briskets, but I really wanted to see if I could equilibrium brine a brisket first, see how difficult it is, and then get into injections and see if I can brine or equilibrium brine a brisket faster with injections. So that'll be for future videos. The other thing I could probably do is, you know, I could go back to my other method of just wet brining briskets for like 2 weeks, but it takes a really long time. But I really like that salt flavor in the middle of the brisket. It's really good. I just don't think this is the method that's going to achieve that. So thanks so much for watching, guys. If you want to get more involved in the Smoke Trails barbecue community, you can join my Patreon. I'll link that in the description section. You can follow me on Instagram. I've got an Instagram page there. I post sometimes, not as often as on YouTube, but there's some posts. And you can join the Smoke Trails Barbecue Nerds Facebook group. That's easy and free to do. That's over on Facebook. Or you can just like and comment and subscribe. That all helps the channel, and I love talking to you guys if you have questions or you have ideas for future videos. Maybe you have an idea of how I could quickly equilibrium brine a brisket that is different than the method I used in this video. Let me know in the comment section below. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I will see you in the next video, and happy smoking.